So at level 12,
Yeah.
your mods only contribute about 6% of your time to kill or time to be killed.
Okay.
Right?
all right.
6%.
Just effectiveness in general.
Very small
Okay.
effect, right?
All right.
But I mean, in an RPG, like 6% is like, yeah, it's okay, I guess, but it's kind of small, right? At level 30, it's more than 40%.
Okay.
That's a huge increase, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah, exactly. So they're just mods at level 30 just super important.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So all of a sudden they become a critical part of your build,
Yeah.
right? And if you are not building exactly correctly, like that can swing. And this 40% actually is much smaller than the real number because I'm not even including in recoil, magazine size, accuracy, kind of all those other things that we have, like on mods, right? I'm just talking pure DPS.
Just like your paper DPS, not your effective DPS that can be affected like
Yeah.
a lot by stability and accuracy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So mods, looking at mods, this was quite interesting to me. I thought that mods didn't really do that much. I knew that mods were good to have and that they did help out a lot, but I really didn't think that it was the crazy numbers that they're talking about. So if you're ranked 12 or level 12, the mods help you out at about 6%, which, yeah, it doesn't really seem that bad. But then once you hit level 30, the mod's doing 40% more of whatever they do, be it damage or giving you health back and all that other stuff. That's kind of a lot. That's kind of crazy. And the fact that it could be doing even more really says a lot about how the game has not been balanced since launch. I think that them really getting as much data as they can to fix as many problems as they can has been a good investment in time, and hopefully all of this stuff will make the game a lot better, because right now with the numbers that they're talking about, a lot of stuff just isn't really working right.
Skills, another interesting thing to look at, right? So we know that skills increase the DPS of a player, and specifically, right, I'm talking about DPS increasing skills like Pulse and Smart Cover.
Yeah.
By more than 78% at level 30.
That's a lot.
Okay, which is a lot, especially considering this is when you don't specialize in electronics.
So this isn't even capped.
So this is
Okay.
a
All right.
completely balanced player who's like, I don't really care about electronics. I don't care. I'm just going to use these two things.
Yeah.
They're going to get huge benefits, right?
Exactly. But if you cap out skill power, then it gets crazy.
Yeah. Oh,
Right,
like way, way more than that, right?
Yeah.
The increase in the power of specifically Pulse increases from level 12 to level 30, even though you're not specializing in electronics.
Okay.
That's weird.
So all of a sudden it gets 1.5 times more effective at level 30. right?
Just for free.
For no reason.
Just for free.
all right,
Yeah.
that's
No
weird.
reason, just because it's doing it.
All right.
Skills. The two major skills that they're talking about that I think everyone knows has been the major skills to use are Pulse and Smart Cover. Now, we've all known that these are basically must-haves. If it's in an incursion or if it's in regular missions or whatever. If you're doing the harder level difficulty, you have to use Pulse and Smart Cover. Now, just because it's doing it, why wouldn't you use Pulse? You get a bonus. The way that I look at that is, if you're level 12, your Pulse should be doing something, right? And once you hit level 30, which is substantially higher than level 12, it should be doing more. I don't really see the problem with that. I think all of the skills should get stronger compared to level 12 when you hit level 30. I don't see a problem with that. Now, 78% without an electronics build is quite crazy. I can see that, them getting all this data has really paid off and helped them to understand what's really going on with the game. And 1.4 can't come any sooner. It needs to happen as soon as possible, because with these numbers, it's just not fair.
Right? So you might be thinking at this point, you're like, wait a second. You're talking about the game being more difficult, but you're talking about how, like, maybe we're overpowered or something?
Yeah.
Like, how does this add up? Endgame was kind of balanced, right, for the outliers.
Yeah.
Right? Which is a problem.
Yeah, especially because they are outliers by such a huge factor, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And because the gap between our best players and our kind of average players is so large, and we happen to balance for the best players, it means the game is just almost,
It's super hard for so many people, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. I mean, it's just frustration for the average player. Like, we kind of estimate that the gap between the kind of worst player at a level versus the best player at a level is about plus or minus 150%, right, in terms of time to kill and time to be killed.
Okay.
And that's at level 12, right?
All right.
And so 3 times. Okay, that seems fairly reasonable.
Yeah.
But then we look at level 30,
Yeah.
and it's like 250% plus or minus. So 5 times, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But that's not considering, signature skills,
Yeah.
actually like min-maxing and things like that. Because if you do that, we think the number is actually closer to 10 times.
Yeah.
10 times.
10 times.
Easy, probably,
Which is huge,
It's like,
right?
Yeah, it is.
That's really big. Enemies with a greater level than the player, they're just too powerful after level 30,
exactly.
right? Like, that's not fun. The other takeaway is the gap between the worst and the best players, it just grows too large in the end game. We need to make that a little bit more forgiving for the players in the bottom, right?
Definitely.
And kind of bring everyone up a little bit, right? Or at least closer to the best. Not we still want that gap, right?
Yeah, you still need variation. Like,
exactly.
It has to be rewarding to optimize your gear.
Yeah. Like, if you're a really smart player and you know how to optimize, like, you should be better.
Yeah, of course.
Like, we know that, but you shouldn't be 10 times better.
Yeah, that's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, it's a bit out of control.
Yeah, exactly. We know that mods become too powerful in the end game.
Yeah,
especially when you talk about handling and things like that. Like, they turn your guns into laser cannons, and they increase the DPS a ton. We know that skills become too powerful in the end game without specializing in skill power. Or, actually, I mean electronics. I don't mean skill power. Because you get skill power from your gear pieces, of course. And we know that smart cover and pulse tend to be the most used and the best kind of skills for most players, right? We know that.
Yeah, exactly.
So the end game has been balanced for the best of the best. So I guess they have quite a few different ways of scaling the game. One is at level 12 and the other is at the highest possible, best possible agent that you can be. And that leaves a lot of people out. You can't always get the best gear. And if you leave it all up to RNG, you're gonna have a hard time. So, looking at my notes again, level 12, 3% power difference. Hit level 30, power goes up about 5%. And maxed out super agent, 10% more damage, and I'm guessing health as well. That's crazy. Putting a regular agent, level 30, against another agent that does way more damage and can take way more damage than him, completely unfair. And I think that's why a lot of people have been turned off lately, is they feel like they're building a character to be strong, and then they get shit on by just some random dude or a bunch of random dudes that are maxed out, and they really don't understand it. I've had so many times people in the comments have said, I've got 700,000 health or toughness. I've got 700k toughness. I'm still getting bodied. And yeah, that doesn't make any sense. How could you have that much? I don't even have that much toughness on my characters. None of them. I think maybe 600 is tops. And if you still getting bodied, that's insane. That's crazy. One other thing to think about is that the NPCs also are scaling, so the NPCs are like 10 times tougher. That's also insane and crazy. Should you be buffed? You should be better, but you shouldn't be crazy better. 10 times better? No, definitely not. One other thing that I think kind of slid under was that they're talking about attachments kind of getting a nerf. It seems like they're saying that the attachments and mods are a bit too powerful. And if that's the case, stability for an AR, if you have an AR that's going, all the way up in the air, and you put a stability mod on it, and it brings it down and makes it, much better to shoot, taking away some of that stability to make it harder might become a thing. They're not really expanding upon that idea or talking about it. They did kind of just slide it on in there. They didn't really talk so much about it, but seems like that could be a possibility. So watch how the weapons handle is what I can say once the 1.4 patch goes live. I'm kind of disappointed to hear about that. Smart cover and pulse might not be as good as it used to be. But, of course, your character will eventually get stronger. So you may not need it as much. Who knows? I don't know. Having skill power be as OP as it is without even having a skill build really reflects on how the game is not that diverse. You just kind of aim for DPS, get your skill power to a certain level, and then have a good amount of toughness. Seems like the way to go. And having so much skill power and getting so much benefit from it without actually having a skill build is broken. And that is OP. And something they hope to fix. We'll see how it goes.
Talking about fixes then, right? So where do we go from here? The fun stuff. So the first thing we're doing,
yes,
we're fixing enemy health,
yes,
and damage, scaling post level 30, so it matches the 1 to 30 curve. We kind of know, right?
Yeah.
As an example, a very well geared player, like pretty average gear for his level, no mods, no skills. We know it takes about 9 assault rifle shots, body shots, not headshots, to kill a Rikers enforcer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The grunt in that faction. But all of a sudden at endgame, right, we know that it takes way more than that. Well, what we want to do now is we want to preserve that.
Yeah, exactly. So if you get the top level gear and you're fighting top level enemies, right?
Yep. It should be
the
same amount. Exactly.
Great. It makes sense.
Seems like it makes sense, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
So the question we all have and that we've all had, finally we're starting to get closer and closer to the answers. What are they doing? Well, they're basically trying to adjust it so that Tyrannosaurus arm curve no longer exists and that it's nice and smooth with the way that it goes up. I'm really happy to hear that. I hope that it all works out. So let's see what else they're talking about doing and what's coming up next. I really want to know about that, and I'm sure you do too.
Just to preface this is not, the example of what your experience will be. This is just indicative of the kind of experience that you will have. Obviously, there are so many variables. I think in this example, it's an enemy that's 3 levels above you, or is it the same level?
So it's a level 33 Rikers Enforcer veteran.
All right.
Versus a gear score 229 player.
Okay.
Who is balanced build, so they haven't specialized in any way.
Okay.
They're not using skills, and they're not using weapon mods or gear mods.
All right. So can we just bring up the time to be killed video? And this will kind of loop. You'll still be able to hear us. But you can very quickly see that what we're going to have for you later. I think it's about 3 times.
Yeah.
Right. So I think the first guy on the left dies in about 2 seconds.
Yeah, you see the health bar that just goes down directly.
And again, can we take a look at time to kill?
Yeah.
Quickly. So this is again a similar.
Yeah, so it's
So
the
this
same,
is exactly the same
the
example.
same context, except this time we are killing the NPC.
Is this the example where you're using the ACR? Is it?
Yeah. So this is an ACR unmodded.
Okay.
Yep.
And people know this isn't the best gun in the game by far. But again, just for the purpose of testing.
Yeah, and again, not really optimized build or whatever. Also, of course, the experience in game would be completely different, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
Still.
this is so right now in this example, time to kill is about half the size. But you will again, if you optimize your gear and you're not using an ACR, if you're using something a bit better than that.
Yeah.
Okay, the whole weapon thing is a discussion for a different day. But that's definitely going to change.
yeah.
So there seemed to have been a lot of confusion when it comes to this week's State of the Game, or I guess it would be last week's State of the Game. And the reason might be because of this particular part's explanation. It was a bit out of order when you think about all of the stuff. So I'm just going to talk about this really quickly. I'm going to try to go through this fast. Level 33 is going to be the new gold standard. It is going to be as high as it's going to be. They will explain this. I'm letting the cat out of the bag and spoiling it for you. And 229 is going to be the highest of any gear piece, gear score, gear anything. Everything at its highest max possibility is going to be 229, including your Alpha Bridge, Century, whatever. All of that stuff, the highest is going to be is 229 and not 268. That's the way that it is, and I think that's why people were confused. They didn't really understand. So with the demonstration, there were no mods, no skills, none of that stuff. And the character that was shooting at the player was the exact same level. And the character that the player was shooting was the exact same level. So that's the kind of times you should expect for killing or being killed if you have no mods and you're a balanced build. Of course, if you're a glass cannon, you'll probably die faster and kill faster. Or if you're more tanky, you'll probably live longer and take longer to kill the enemy. Just remember, level 33 is going to be the highest difficulty level or rank level for an enemy, and 229 is going to be the highest gear score and high-end value for gear sets that you can get. That's what you need to know. Most important thing.
We're changing the way that endgame difficulty scaling works. And so we have a couple goals with this, right?
Okay.
So I want to start off just by saying, like, why are we doing this, right? Goal number one is we want greater granularity. We just talked about why we think that's important.
Mm-hmm.
We want kind of an even transition in the end game. We don't want those huge difficulty spikes.
Yeah.
We want better rewards.
Yes.
We want relevant rewards, right? And this is going to help us do that. So no more of that. I need the gear to play this content, but I can't play this content because I don't have the gear.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
No more
that's
of
not
that.
a cool thing. That's not fun.
Right. Hugely important. We want to help solo players.
Yes.
Right? Solo players don't have a lot of options in endgame.
Yeah.
And so we really want to help them out.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
want to have those, pretty snappy kill times, but we want to leave room for all the RPG mechanics to kind of take hold and for gear to matter and all of those things.
Gear to matter and gunplay to matter as well.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
That's what we're missing right now. a lot.
Exactly. And then kind of finally, we want to make it really obvious kind of for players, like the path through endgame. Like, so make it, because right now it's not super obvious what you should do as a fresh level 30, for example.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I don't know, how do I increase my gear score? We want to make that trip a little bit more on the nose, right?
Yes.
End game goals. It's good to have goals in life. You got to have things that you shoot for and you strive for and you work every day hard to make it happen. So these end game goals for the division are going to be difficulty scaling. Now, I let the cat out of the bag and kind of told you how high the difficulty is going to be. It's going to be level 33. And an even rise in the difficulty so that it's not going to be all crazy, which is what we all hope for. Access to decent rewards that are not completely garbage. Hopefully you can have some access to those. That's what they're hoping to do. And they're going to have good times to kill and the amount to stay alive. And they also want good shooting mechanics and all that other stuff. Skill powers are not OP, and they want it to be more like an RPG. They want to fix the game. You already know that. I already knew that as well, but these are the goals. So now everything has been laid out on the table of what they want to do with the overall scope of the game. So now you're asking, how the hell are you going to do all of this?
Players
Yes.
in 1.4
Yes.
can now select the world level when they hit endgame.
Okay. What does world level mean?
Yeah, so what world level means is you are able to set the entire world. So all of the NPCs and all of the rewards you get
Okay.
to a certain level.
Run me through this. I ding level 30, what happens?
Yep. So you ding level 30,
Yeah.
you get a little notification that says, hey, you can now set your entire game world to level 30,
Okay.
right? And we're going to put you in something we call world level tier 1.
Okay.
You choose the world level, and that is going to change all NPCs
Yeah.
Oh, damn it.
in the in missions,
Yeah.
in the open world,
Yeah.
which I'm really excited about because that
Yes.
means we're bringing back named roamers.
We are bringing back the open world.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
Underground, incursions,
Yeah.
and the dark zone. Now, big disclaimer with the dark zone.
Yeah.
We're still going to place you in the bracket that you belong in because we don't want really good players ganking
to
low-level players, right?
go
Like,
to
we don't want that.
Go to a lower
right?
bracket, yeah.
Players will now be able to set the world level. You'll be able to set the difficulty. That's the easy way to say it. If you're confused by the state of the game about what is all of this world level and my favorite YouTuber is making videos about it, well, let me just simply break it down to you and say world level is just selecting your difficulty. That's all it is. So your world level is going to select how difficult the enemies will become. That's it. Nothing else to see here.
Up here we see the new world bracket. So that's tier 1. You see the little globe icon with a 1 next to it. And you see a little notification that says, hey, there's a new bracket available.
All right. And then
So you
something
can
like
select
that's
one.
gonna happen.
Oh, and here's our menu.
Yeah.
So this is the player changing the world level. So tier 1, of course, is everything is level 30.
Yeah.
And I should point out that the rewards are all 163 or up to 163.
Yes.
Cool.
Right?
Right, I'm back.
So there is, of course, a small chance that you could get a drop from someone that is 182,
Yeah.
That's cool.
which is pretty cool, I think.
All right.
But yes, so when you finish a mission, all of those things, you're going to get 163.
Yeah.
And 163 is going to make you overpowered for level 30 enemies.
So your tier 1 world level, basically like as soon as you hit rank 30, this tier 1 level thing is going to open up. And all of the gear that you get from your tier 1 level world is going to be 163. Now 163 is going to be stronger than a level 30 in terms of whatever. So basically it's level 31 gear. Okay? So once you hit that, then you're going to get the next power boost by getting 163 gear. And 163 is going to be basically the lowest gear score level gear that you can get for, I'm assuming it's going to be the yellow high-end and green gear set items. 163 is going to be the lowest for that. And that is going to be only in the tier 1, level 1 world, or however you want to call it, in that first level after you hit 30. When that thing pops up, 163 gear in that world, no matter what you do. That's what's going to drop. And you might get something better. if you get lucky.
So there is an important note about 163
Yes.
because we're also doing a couple changes to gear score.
Aha, we are.
So when you say 163, that's
Yeah.
not only high-end 163.
Yes.
That's also gear sets,
It is.
right?
It is.
Yes. So that they won't be like gear sets won't be inflated at the same
Yeah.
level.
Yes.
Okay.
So gear sets are now going to be more reflective of their actual power.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
I guess it's clearer in the extreme example where
yeah,
max level gear sets will all be 229,
Yeah.
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
there's no 268s anymore. It's just a flat 229, making them the same as your favorite
Yeah.
Reckless chest piece, your
Yeah.
Savage gloves.
Yeah, exactly.
229 flat. So the
So-
max gear score will be
yeah.
229.
Yep, 229.
Yeah.
191 was the first tier of gear set, I think.
Yeah, I
Will
think
be
so.
163. The 214 will be 182.
182, yep.
The 240 will be 204. And the 268 will be 229.
229.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they're on the same gear score as the high-end items,
Yeah.
which makes it more consistent and easier then to apprehend.
Indeed.
And understand.
Someone says they'll be kicking everyone that's not 255. In the next update, no one's going to be 255.
Right, right.
The
Everyone's
max,
going to be
max players will be
229.
229.
So now here we have it, the gear score breakdown. This is what everybody wants to know. If you don't know already, this is how it's going to break down. Depending on the tiers of the world levels will determine the gear score of all of the items. So let me count this up real quick. Yup, it's 4. There are going to be 4 worlds, 4 levels that you can choose. You hit rank 30, tier 1 will pop up. After tier 1, you'll have tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4. Tier 4 is going to be the hardest. So the way the gear score stuff is going to work, let me make sense of this. Tier 1 is going to drop 163 gear score items. It'll be a gear set or it'll be a high end. Both gear sets and high ends are going to be 163 in tier 1 world level. All right, now remember that is the difficulty. All right, it has nothing to do with hard, challenging, all of this stuff. The world level is going to determine the difficulty of the enemies. Understand that. I'll say it again. The world level is going to determine the difficulty of the enemies. Okay? Okay. Now, World 2. The next tier is going to be 182. Now, 182, if you're in that second tier world, everything you drop, or everything that drops is going to be 182 gear score. And that is going to be overpowered for that world. Okay. Everything you get from a certain world is going to be overpowered for that world. So no more, you already know. Okay. World 3. So World 3 is going to drop 204s. Now the 204s, the stuff that we've been collecting over and over again, up until now, all of that stuff is going to be in that world only. It's not going to drop. Well, it could drop in a lower world, but it will not and should not drop in a higher world. Okay? So the 204 stuff is going to be in tier 3. 204 type enemies, level 32 enemies are going to drop in that world. And the last level, the highest level, rank 4 world, tier 4 world, is going to drop 229s. 229 guns, 229 gear pieces, 229 high ends. All of that is in tier 4 world. So if you want the 229 stuff, you go to tier 4 world and you fight level 33 enemies. The enemies are only going to go up to 33. We already talked about that. Okay? Okay? All right. Okay.